Welcome to the Small Business Compensation Strategies for Now in 2019. I'm Ray Silverstein, founder, president of Pro President's Resource Organization. I'm sure that you're aware of peer advisory boards, and that's what I conduct and facilitate. A peer advisory board is where business owners, non-competitive business owners, meet monthly to discuss problems, issues, and opportunities. And compensation is one of the topics that's come up this year quite a bit because of the shortage of employment or finding of people, and also because of the tariffs which are going through and the possibility of inflation. So we have an expert today who's going to be with us. So I'd like to introduce Neil Lapley. Neil is a human resource consultant, primarily focusing on development and implementation of compensation programs for clients. Recent assignments include design of executive compensation programs, compensation strategy statements, annual and long-term incentive plans. By the way, Neil worked with me many years ago when I had my company on an incentive compensation plan for our key employees. He's consulted for over 25 years, as you can probably tell from just looking at our smiling faces. Neil is also a frequent speaker at human resources and compensation events. So welcome, Neil.
Hi, Ray. How are you today?
We are super. This is going to be an exciting discussion. Just by the way, before I forget, for any of you who have an interest, if you go to our website, www.propres.com, that's P-R-O-P-R-E-S, you can download a free 84-page small business tool workbook, which you'll find is a great feature. So, Neil, I'd like to have a discussion with you about compensation. You sent out a newsletter, and you were talking about compensation strategy. But okay, Neil, I'd like to ask about the incentive compensation aspect.
Okay.
On incentive compensation, when you tie that into your format for what the total compensation is, are people more inclined, especially millennials when we're working with various companies, are millennials more inclined to an incentive type of compensation, or are they looking more towards an increase in base compensation with a minor incentive compensation format?
That's a really good question, Ray, because there is a trend in industry, in spite of our holding down salary increases to around 3% or so for the last 4 or 5 years, that the percentage of pre-tax profits that are paid out in incentives is starting to creep up, which means that companies, organizations are moving more money into incentives, either by increasing the opportunity or by increasing the number of people that are eligible for incentives. So yes, I think there is a very definite trend here to move towards more incentive in pay and keeping the amount of salary fairly steady.
When you work with people, this is just a curiosity, because I work with a lot of small business owners, and many are not that sophisticated. Some are very sophisticated. But when people put an incentive compensation format in, do they really sit down and consider all of the criteria that an incentive compensation format should have?
Well, it kind of depends on the kind of incentive program you have. But you probably ought to limit it to 2, maybe 3 variables that you measure. If it's a corporate plan offered to a number of employees, it may include some measure of profitability and some measure of revenues. And then maybe there's a trend also towards bringing in other factors like customer satisfaction, things of that sort that are modifiers of the incentive plan. But the main drivers are still the 2, some measure of profitability and some measure of revenue.
Are many companies still using profit sharing plans, and is that really an incentive for the employees?
Well, I'm not a benefits consultant, so I don't design those kind of plans. But I would say that there are certainly a minority of companies that are using profit sharing. They're moving more towards more quantitative measures and communicating those measures. And tying, it's important to tie that to what the objectives and the goals of the corporation are. So it's not just a blanket, percentage of profits that are distributed.
Okay, I generally found from my experience and also working, with these business owners, that if you have a profit sharing plan, you have to communicate that all the time, over and over and over again. I think that's true with almost any type of format, because otherwise it doesn't have any impact.
Yeah, and it has to be done well. I was with a client yesterday that holds quarterly all-employee meetings. They have like 275 employees, something like that. Revenues in the 60, 70, 80 million, something of that sort. And they just did an employee survey, which is something I want to mention in a little while anyway, Ray. And it turns out that the company president doesn't have a lot of credibility. So the employees aren't believing it. So I was with the human resource head, and he was scratching his head about what to do with his boss's boss, how to make him more credible, because it's not credible with the employees. But yeah, but your point of good communication is true, but it doesn't have to. It not only is the amount of communication, but it's the authenticity of that communication.
I appreciate your insights, your comments. So if people want to contact you, how would they do that?
Well, they can reach me on the phone by, my number is 847-921-2812, or my email address is nlapp as in Peter, Ley @lapley.com.
So you want people to get your number, is that it?
That'd be good. I always enjoy new clients.
Okay. So I hope you enjoyed some of these comments and thoughts. If you'd like to learn more, you can either contact Neil directly, or you can contact Pro Presidents at www.propres.com. Or if you're not in Illinois or Phoenix, where we have personal boards, we also are doing online boards, and you can find out more about that at www.peeradvisoryboard.com. So looking forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.